Hold on to your hats, folks, because Nvidia might just be on the verge of a monumental valuation leap that could see it become the first $10 trillion tech company. And that is certainly not just our own unassuming prediction being thrown into the fold. It is the hype of the experts and the talk of analysts and market bulls like Beth Kindig and Dan Ives. What's driving this level of excitement around Nvidia? How could anyone predict something so bullish after the market slightly rejected Nvidia's record-setting earnings? The buzz centers around Nvidia's next-generation artificial intelligence chip, Blackwell. Despite some setbacks, including a recent dip in stock prices and concerns over production delays, key analysts like Beth Kindig and Dan Ives are bullish about Nvidia's future because they can see towards the future and they understand how the market will flow and how it will eventually respond. They believe this groundbreaking chip could redefine the company's fortunes and possibly the entire tech industry. And to be fair, have they ever been egregiously wrong about Nvidia? Hello everyone and welcome back to Investocracy.
Investors are questioning whether or not Nvidia can keep outperforming its past growth, and our next guest is raising some concerns about Nvidia's overall valuation. Here with her take on the latest results is Beth Kindig, IO Fund lead tech analyst. And Beth, look, we did have lofty expectations heading into this report. Nvidia, it did deliver, but not at the level that Wall Street was expecting. So it's now the time for investors to recalibrate their expectations when it comes to this company.
Hi, so good to see you the day after NVIDIA reported. I would push back on that. NVIDIA had a great report. The information had reported, this is a media outlet, that data centers would not be stood up in Q1. That would run into Q2, completely thrown off the table last night. Several billions of dollars of Blackwell in Q4. Data centers will be stood up in Q1. That is what investors were expecting. That is what Wall Street was expecting. That's why things are being revised up, and they were never revised down. Wall Street obviously is very closely tied to estimates, and we never saw revisions downward based on the so-called delay. That's what you want to piece together here is NVIDIA coming in according to what Wall Street's expectations are, or are they beating? They beat, and they're saying Blackwell is basically on time. So I would push back on that. We cover this stock very, very closely. Blackwell is not a concern. If anything, it's extremely bullish. There are some production numbers buried in their report, up 48% quarter over quarter. Could not be more bullish in terms of Blackwell. Now, the valuation, when you have a high flyer like NVIDIA, can get stretched at times. Going into the print, we warned our members that this valuation is looking a little toppy. What we need is for the fiscal year estimates next year to go up. So we're in a waiting game for analysts to revise their estimates upward, which eventually they will. But until then, the valuation is stretched.
During an interview with Yahoo Finance, Beth Kindig didn't hold back her excitement about Nvidia's future. Despite recent investor concerns over valuation and temporary production delays, Kindig foresees Nvidia's growth trajectory becoming crystal clear once Wall Street adjusts its fiscal estimates. She anticipates Blackwell's shipping volume figures in 2025 to be a critical milestone, describing it as absolute ultimate fireworks for Nvidia in the first quarter. The anticipation is palpable, and if Kindig's predictions come to fruition, Nvidia may very well be on a path to becoming a $10 trillion behemoth. Can you believe that? A world where AI and innovation will propel the company to such heights never foreseen or talked about before. Kindig certainly believes wholeheartedly that it will happen sooner rather than later. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. That said, back to the video.
Okay, so if the valuation is stretched, then where does that put them on the pathway towards reaching some of the targets that you've set forth? You have some of the kind of loftier long-term expectations on a market cap front for NVIDIA. I believe we were talking about $10 trillion last time you came on. And so for NVIDIA to really hit that in stride over years, what do you see as the pathway towards growth into that?
The pathway to growth is to pay very close attention to NVIDIA around the fiscal year guide. That is always NVIDIA's big moment, number one. Number two, the second biggest moment of the year for NVIDIA will be when Blackwell is shipping in volume. This will be your Q2 report, but we'll get some signs in Q1 with that forward guide, it's going to be fireworks is how I would put it. Absolute ultimate fireworks for Blackwell will come in Q1 with that Q2 guide. You have to really realize that these guys are on a product release cycle. Therefore, Hopper was out, roughly 2 years ago, began shipping in October. Stock was down 60%. The following Q1 and Q2 report in 2023 were blowouts. So you have to understand that there's a shipping cycle that occurs for this company. Some media outlets have blown that out of proportion. It's absolutely on time. Early next year will be fireworks again for Nvidia, and we will be on track for that 10 trillion.
Kindig is not alone in her optimistic outlook, however. Wedbush analyst Dan Ives compared Nvidia's market dominance to that of LeBron James's early career, underscoring the company's potential for long-term growth. This isn't just optimism for the sake of it. There's data to support it. Nvidia's relentless push to maintain its lead in AI chips has led to the development of larger, more complex processors. These chips are nearly double the size of their predecessors and contain 2.6 times more transistors, making them technologically superior but also significantly more challenging to manufacture. Despite these manufacturing challenges, the demand for Nvidia's AI chips has been staggering. J.P. Morgan analyst Harlan Sur noted that even minor delays in Blackwell's production wouldn't detract from the enthusiastic focus on AI by cloud service providers. The market's appetite for these advanced chips is so voracious that demand could exceed supply at least through mid-2025. It's almost humorously ironic. In a world where delays often spell doom, Nvidia's delays are seen as more of a hurry-up-and-wait game by eager customers. So what does all of this mean for Nvidia investors? The answer is easy, but before going through it, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
You actually have been in Asia a lot, and you've been looking at the factories, and you've been talking to people who are the end buyers of some of these chips and the producers to understand exactly how much demand there is. What have you seen that gives you such confidence that this really is a takeoff story, even now, with some questions about how long the magnificent 3 or 4 U.S. big tech companies can continue to support it?
Yeah, we'll be going back to Asia on next week. $1 trillion of CapEx is what we see from an AI perspective over the next 3 years. You go back 6 months ago, we thought that was $500 billion. And so every quarter, if you look at the underlying demand, not just from hyperscalers, but eventually what's going to be other enterprises, it's just starting. So all of our checks are showing demand's actually continuing to accelerate. As Farrell talked about, yields are improving from a production perspective, that they're the only game in town. Use cases are coming through. We saw that with Palantir. You see that with ServiceNow. Now this fourth industrial revolution, Rome wasn't built in a day, neither will AI revolution. It's starting to come together. Anyone that thinks this is hype, you listen to conference calls, Nvidia, AMD, Microsoft, Palantir, and others. I mean, I don't know what watch party those bears are, but they're not listening to the calls that I am.
Additionally, the market is evolving beyond the Magnificent Seven stocks, which includes Nvidia. According to Piper Sandler analyst Craig Johnson, this evolution is just the beginning of a new phase where megastocks like Nvidia further solidify their dominance. And it's not just talk. Nvidia's recent price action adds a bit of sparkle to its glowing forecast. The stock closed at $119.37 recently, and even with a slight dip in after-hours trading, Nvidia's year-to-date performance boasts an eye-watering surge of 147.81%, according to data from Benzinga Pro. If these trends hold, the company's $10 trillion dream doesn't seem far-fetched at all. Speaking of earnings, Wedbush analyst Matt Bryson reiterated an outperform rating for Nvidia with a price target of $138. He noted that despite the heft of the Blackwell delays, the Nvidia ship is still on course. The company reported a robust $30 billion in second quarter sales, driven by a surge in data center sales. The next quarter promises even more, with a guidance figure of $32.5 billion.
You say it's LeBron at high school. Why isn't it Zion Williamson? Why couldn't we end up with a situation when we actually get real competition and it just doesn't do that well anymore? How big is this moat around this company?
Yeah, and I think it's a great question. Right now, only game in town. AMD and obviously Lisa Su and others are going to benefit. The reason this is a LeBron in high school is because they are so ahead of any other competitor. And right now, they're the only game in town. The new gold, the new oil, it's AMD chips. And when you come away from that conference call last night, now I get after hours and bears will come out, but there's nothing that makes me think that we don't have a year from now or less. You have $3-4 trillion market caps. Godfather of AI and Nvidia, what's happening in Cupertino with the AI supercycle starting off on iPhone 16, and what's happening with Nadella and Redmond.
So, why should this matter to you? The anticipation surrounding Nvidia's Blackwell chip isn't just market hype. It's a potent mix of cutting-edge technology, high stakes, and a gamble that seems set to pay off big. With Blackwell on track to begin ramping up shipments in the fourth quarter, and a projected mid-70s gross margin for fiscal 2025, Nvidia is a stock that screams potential. And with experts projecting significant growth and market demand showing no signs of slowing down, Nvidia presents a compelling investment opportunity. Currently, Nvidia's stock price reflects robust gains, and the forecast for its growth appears exceedingly promising. Do you think Nvidia will hit the $10 trillion mark? Is this the ultimate stock to watch in the tech sector? We'd love to hear your thoughts and predictions. Let's see where this exciting saga takes us next. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen.